Before the heart learns how to open itself to the world, it must first learn how to protect itself. Souls that are both sensitive and strong, those we call genuine empaths, carry a rare capacity within them. They do not merely understand the emotions of others, they experience them as if those emotions were their own. They go beyond simple sympathy. They move so deeply that they enter another person's emotional state, their thoughts, and sometimes even the pain that person is trying to hide. This is not the gentle surface-level empathy most people talk about. This is a profound inner stillness, a private meeting place where another person's feelings and your own emotions quietly merge. From the very first moment they encounter another person's emotions, empaths give, without calculation. They smile, they nod gently. They move closer, as if their eyes and their hearts are saying, "I'm here, and I understand." But understanding is not the same as knowing where the line is, and this is where a deep paradox begins. When you give too much, you slowly begin to lose yourself. When kindness is no longer a conscious offering from a full inner reservoir, it turns into something that gradually drains your emotional vitality. In psychology, empathy is defined as the ability to listen to, recognize, and understand the emotions of others by placing yourself in their position. It is a vital skill for creating deep connections and lasting relationships. But it is also a double-edged sword when there are no clear boundaries between you and the emotional world of others. For a genuine empath, emotions do not stay on the surface. They move like an underground current beneath a riverbed, pulling layer after layer of experience along with them. Not only the emotions of others, but their own as well. They do not receive another person's feelings like a distant message. They experience those emotions as part of themselves. This is what makes them loyal friends, intuitive listeners, and at times, unofficial healers for anyone who needs a place to lean. But there is a deeper truth that is rarely spoken about. Empathy that extends beyond its natural limits can become a form of psychological injury. When an empath absorbs too many emotions that do not belong to them, they do not simply respond to those feelings, they merge with them. And the result is that kindness is no longer a gift offered from inner abundance, it becomes a betrayal of the self. Consider this carefully. When you spend hours listening to another person's emotions without giving yourself space to breathe, when you support, soothe, and comfort, yet forget to ask yourself, what do I need today? You are giving from a trauma response, not from genuine kindness. True kindness arises from inner fullness, from energy that is renewed, not from energy that is being depleted. And every time you give only because you fear being judged or fear being abandoned, you are quietly betraying yourself. Many empaths do not recognize this pattern until they are exhausted, standing at the edge of emotional collapse with no resources left to give. They begin to ask, why am I so tired? Why does my heart feel completely drained? But the deeper answer is not physical fatigue. It is a sign of a neglected soul. They absorb other people's emotions like sponges soaking up water, yet forget that they themselves need care and nourishment. No one teaches us how to set clear boundaries. As children, many sensitive people learn to absorb the emotions of others as a survival strategy. If I stay cheerful, everyone will feel calm. If I take on their sadness, they will keep me close. It is a painful but common lesson. Give endlessly in order to be accepted. Over time, kindness quietly turns into a form of self-sacrifice, mistaken for love and care. When an empath finally chooses themselves, not because they become cold, but because they realize they deserve protection, just like anyone else, they begin to rewrite their story. They learn that loving others does not require self-destruction. They learn that boundaries are not barriers. They are forms of protection, and they discover that healthy love does not drain their energy, it restores it. If you are hearing these words and feel a subtle tightening in your chest, if you sense exhaustion or recognize that you have given too much while receiving too little, do not turn away. Here, in this moment, you are standing at the threshold of a different kind of journey. Not a journey about becoming better, but one about living more fully with yourself before offering yourself to others. Today, we are not going to talk about giving more. We are going to talk about stopping the quiet betrayal of the self before kindness turns into emotional depletion, and we will do this clearly, deeply, and through lived experience, grounded in psychology, emotional awareness, and self-understanding, so that your heart does not only feel, but also knows how to hold itself. Let us go deeper into this wound, not to make it hurt more, but to understand where the bleeding truly began. Because what turns kindness into self-betrayal is not born from a sudden moment. It grows out of long-forgotten days, from a time when a child learned how to survive by smiling. In modern psychology, there's a self-protective response known as fawning, often described as the appease response. It is one of the ways a sensitive nervous system adapts to emotionally unsafe environments. Instead of fighting or fleeing, the child learns to be gentle, agreeable, and pleasing in order to feel safe. When a child cannot fight and cannot escape, they learn to be likable, believing that compliance will bring protection. This is not a conscious choice. It is a survival response formed deep in the subconscious, and it often follows a person well into adulthood. When a sensitive child grows up in an environment lacking empathy, they learn to read other people's moods the way a meteorologist reads dark clouds before a storm. They understand that if they are well behaved, if they have no needs, if they are always accommodating, then peace will last a little longer. And from that point on, kindness is no longer a virtue. It becomes armor, and the word yes becomes the only shield protecting a fragile inner world. Years pass, that child grows up and becomes you, but the armor that once ensured survival has fused to your skin. You carry the fawning response into every adult relationship. You believe you are being kind when you cannot say no to an unreasonable request. You believe you are being noble when you forgive someone each time they hurt you. But this is not true kindness. It is fear in disguise, a response you learned early in life to be loved, or at least not abandoned. Carl Jung referred to this mechanism as part of the persona, the social mask. The persona itself is not bad. It is how we present ourselves to the world. But when we mistake the mask for our true self, we begin living for approval rather than for authenticity. A good person, as defined by fear, is someone who never upsets anyone, who willingly drains themselves to keep others comfortable. But a real person, a whole human being, knows where they begin and where others end. Imagine your inner world as a sacred vessel. Inside this vessel is something precious: life energy, love, creativity, and the capacity to nourish others. In its original state, the vessel is whole. You pour its wine only for those who arrive with worthy cups, people who can appreciate it and give something back. But psychological wounds and people-pleasing habits create cracks along the vessel's surface. These cracks are invisible to the eye, but the soul feels them clearly. When you continue living in the appeasement response, your life energy is no longer given consciously. It begins to leak, seeping into the ground, spilling into the hands of anyone who passes by, including those who exploit it. Many psychological studies and relational analyses show that empaths are often drawn into imbalanced relationships, particularly with manipulative or narcissistic individuals, not because they are unlucky, but because psychological cracks send out a signal. free energy available here. These individuals may not always act with conscious intent, but they respond instinctively to empathy offered without boundaries. Kindness that leaks this way rarely creates gratitude. More often, it creates disregard. At a subconscious level, we tend not to value what is too easily available. When you continue giving without preserving energy for yourself, others begin to treat you as a permanent resource. And as that energy keeps leaking, a quiet inner conflict begins between the persona, the part shown to the world, and the shadow, the rejected and suppressed part within. In Jungian psychology, the shadow contains emotions, needs, and instincts we have never allowed ourselves to claim as our own. Every time you say, "It's fine," while your chest tightens, every time you smile and take on more work while already exhausted, you are locking a scream inside the prison of the unconscious. Do you think that resentment simply disappears? No. Energy never disappears. It transforms. The refusals you never voice to others turn inward, becoming unexplained headaches, chronic fatigue that sleep cannot cure, or a hollow emptiness that lingers even in moments of joy. Both relationship researchers and clinical professionals confirm this. When you give your heart entirely to others while leaving nothing for yourself, your body and psyche eventually rebel. Psychological or physical symptoms arise as a final cry for help. This is not merely emotional distress. It is a signal that you are betraying yourself in order to please others. Acknowledging this truth is not easy. It is like shattering a statue of holiness that you have spent years carefully building. But this collapse is the true beginning of healing. Recognizing that the vessel is cracked is the first step toward repairing it. And no, you're not learning how to become a worse person. You're learning how to become sovereign, an empath who knows when to close the valve. Someone who understands that no is a complete sentence and that refusal can be just as sacred as giving. Repairing these cracks does not happen overnight. It requires facing the fear of abandonment, accepting that some people will be disappointed so that you no longer have to disappoint yourself. It requires awareness of your own emotions instead of automatic reactions rooted in old fear. And if you find yourself standing at the threshold of change, if you realize your vessel has been leaking for far too long, and if you want to learn how to preserve the last precious drops of your energy, this is the moment to make a conscious choice. Subscribe to this channel now, not as a simple click, but as a commitment you make to yourself. I am ready to heal. I am ready to protect my energy. I honor myself as I truly am. Because true kindness is not endless depletion. It is sovereign giving, sustained by a strong and abundant source of energy, a source that only exists when you stop betraying yourself. There is a question people around you often ask when they see an empath change. Why did you suddenly become like this? They assume it was an impulse, a moment of anger, a sudden emotional outburst. But they are wrong. Change never arrives as an accident or a random explosion. It is the result of a long process of accumulation, like pressure building deep beneath the ocean until there is no space left to expand, not even a millimeter. Carl Jung called this phenomenon enantiodromia, the transformation into one's opposite. When a psychological force is held at an extreme for too long, it inevitably flips into its opposite. This is the moment when the snap occurs, not with shouting or broken plates, but with absolute silence. Everything you have suppressed for years suddenly freezes, like a lake after a winter storm. And in that stillness, everything becomes painfully clear. Think back to the times when you were hurt before. You cried, you explained yourself, you tried to make others understand your pain. You wrote long messages, you lost sleep analyzing what went wrong and what you could have done differently. All of this meant one thing. There was still hope. Hope that if you were sincere enough, patient enough, self-sacrificing enough, the other person would finally change. But then, one fateful day, a switch inside your mind flips, or more precisely, the flame of hope quietly goes out. You look at the person who once manipulated you, who drained your energy, and for the first time, you feel no pain. You feel no love, no hatred either. What you feel is a deep emptiness. But this emptiness is not nothingness. It is the clearest form of awareness you have ever known, a recognition that does not waver like a frozen lake, transparent, cold, and unmistakably real. In that moment, you see, truly see, the people who once wore you down. You notice the old lies, the selfishness disguised as care, the repetitive cycles of emotional abuse that you used to excuse or rationalize. This is no longer pain. It is the unfiltered reflection of truth. At this stage, what we might call hot empathy gradually transforms into what some modern psychological theories describe as cold empathy, the ability to understand another person's emotions without allowing those emotions to invade your body or drain your psychological energy. This is not emotional numbness. It is a precise distinction between understanding and unhealthy emotional fusion. You step back and become the observer, standing outside the glass, watching the emotional creature that once screamed for soothing and validation. And for the first time, you realize a bitter yet liberating truth. You cannot keep someone warm by setting yourself on fire. When you stop supplying your energy, it is not a punishment for them. It is an act of salvation for yourself. Jung did not only speak of opposites and transformation, he also described the shadow, the hidden part of every human being that we refuse to acknowledge. The shadow contains the aspects of ourselves we dislike, fear, or repress, but it also holds untapped potential when we learn to integrate it rather than deny it. When someone experiences the snap, the shadow does not disappear. It stands fully present as a part of the self that was once judged as weak, unacceptable, or dangerous. In that moment of awakening, you do not become aggressive or emotionally dead. You learn how to observe emotions without being swallowed by them. You are no longer controlled by the fear of abandonment, the fear of judgment, or the fear of being labeled heartless. Accusations like cold or uncaring slide off you like water off a lotus leaf. Because you have come to understand something essential about the nature of kindness. Sometimes withdrawing from a draining relationship is not cruelty. It is self-rescue. Setting boundaries is not punishment. It is a sacred act of self-preservation. However, Jung warned that when the snap occurs, the real challenge is only beginning. You are faced with a subtle and difficult question. How do you maintain the necessary emotional distance without becoming the very monster you are leaving behind? How do you integrate the shadow without letting it consume you, but allowing it to become a source of strength? Here we encounter another Jungian concept, the golden shadow, the part of the shadow that does not only contain what is rejected or negative, but also the unrealized qualities within you. Strength, authority, decisiveness, and power you were never allowed to claim. When you admire these traits in others and long for them, you are actually looking at your own golden shadow, the part that must be reclaimed and integrated, not rejected or erased. And if your mind feels stirred as you read this, if you have known that cold silence and the deep inner reflection that comes with it, understand this. It is not a sign of cruelty. It is the emergence of true self-mastery. You do not need to become someone else to be accepted. You only need to return to your authentic nature, without illusion, without being bound to the emotions of others. This does not happen overnight. But when it happens, you will know. Because that silence is not an empty void. It is a state of awareness more complete than any emotion you have ever felt before. People often fear their own darkness, the inner part they believe is ugly, weak, or dangerous. We are afraid that if we allow ourselves to feel anger, if we allow ourselves to become cold or firm, we will turn into the very people we once feared. But in the depth psychology of Carl Jung, there is a different, far more liberating view of moral nature. A harmless person is not a good person. A good person is someone who is capable of being dangerous, yet chooses to control it. This perspective challenges the common belief that kindness equals harmlessness. On the contrary, true kindness is a form of strength. It only reveals itself when you are able to command your power, not suppress it. Let this idea sink in. For a long time, you may have believed you were a good person because you never hurt anyone, because you were always patient, gentle, and accommodating. But that is not virtue. That is repression, often rooted in the need to be loved, to be accepted, or to avoid conflict. When powerful inner parts are suppressed for too long, they do not disappear. They merge into the shadow, and at times, they surface as unconscious reactions that drain your energy without you even realizing it. Let us talk about the golden shadow. Within the part of yourself you once tried to avoid, there is not only resentment and suppressed emotion. There also live powerful qualities you were never allowed to claim. Unrealized potential such as firm will, clear boundaries, inner authority, and decisiveness. Some researchers refer to this as the gold within the shadow. Advanced qualities you never recognized as your own because you were too busy hiding from them or pretending they did not exist. Imagine that fierce part of you as a loyal wolf living deep within. If you cage it, starve it, and suppress it, it becomes unstable, gnawing at you silently, expressing itself through irritation, exhaustion, and emotional overflow toward others. But if you do not fear it, if you befriend it and assign it the proper role, that of guardian and protector, you gain the most powerful inner defender you have ever known. This is precisely what Jung meant when he said that the shadow is not only negative, but also contains immense strength when consciously integrated. When an empath begins to integrate the golden shadow, when they recognize and master the buried power within, they reach a profound turning point, the capacity for deliberate ruthlessness. This may sound frightening at first, but look more closely. It is not senseless cruelty. It is like a surgeon using a scalpel to remove a tumor, an act that appears harsh on the surface, but exists to save life and protect the body from deeper harm. In the same way, when you decisively cut ties with a toxic person, when you say no without justification, or when you quietly walk away from what drains your energy, these are deliberate cuts. To others, you may appear cold. To yourself, it is the most sacred act of protection you once believed you were incapable of. This is the deep paradox of maturity. You must be capable of being bad in order to protect what is good. You must know how powerful you can be so that no one dares trample the garden of your inner world. When you know that you can bite, you become even more gentle, because your gentleness is now a choice made by the strong, not a requirement imposed on the weak. This is the difference between fear and resolve, between exhausted softness and grounded compassion. And now, with this new understanding of the golden shadow, it is time to reclaim your sword. This sword is not meant to attack the world. It exists to draw a clear and uncompromising boundary. This is where it ends. This is my territory, and only I decide what may cross it. Boundaries are not useless walls. They are lines of dignity, helping you decide when to give and when to preserve. They are how you teach the world how to treat you, not through words, but through presence rooted in self-command. This integration changes your entire posture. You no longer move through life with hesitation or constant monitoring of others' reactions. In its place emerges a calm authority, a state others feel immediately. Those who once exploited you may now describe you as difficult or distant. That is not because you became heartless, it is because you no longer react the way you once did. You've transformed gentleness into a conscious choice, no longer an unconditional drain on your life force. And if you now find yourself standing before the blank page of change, if you feel ready to reclaim the power and dignity that were buried for so long, this is the message I want to leave with you. Write this in the comments below. I reclaim authority over my energy. This is not merely a sentence. It is the first moment your hand closes around your sword again. A sign that you are entering a path of maturity, where you no longer betray yourself in the name of naive kindness. When you declare this openly, you are no longer alone in the healing process. You are leading yourself and those who found their way here along the path of self-recognition and true sovereignty. When you are finally holding the sword of boundaries in your hands, the most important question is no longer, who am I going to attack? It becomes, how do I protect myself without starting a war? Many people mistakenly believe that setting boundaries means initiating a dramatic confrontation. They think it requires phone calls, long explanations, listing every wrongdoing, shouting buried resentment just to extract an apology. But that reaction belongs to someone who is still entangled, to an inner child still seeking validation and recognition. A truly awakened empath chooses a different path, a path far more dignified and infinitely more effective. This method is called the quiet guillotine. The name sounds cold, even brutal, but its true nature is absolute peace. It is not about cutting someone down. It is about severing the toxic, energetic cord between you and those who drain you, cleanly, silently, and without argument. You need to understand this clearly. People who habitually manipulate emotions, such as narcissists, survive on your reactions. They do not actually need your peace. They need emotional fuel, your attention, your resistance, your long explanations, your tears, even your anger, to sustain their sense of power. In psychology, this is known as narcissistic supply. They feed their ego with the emotional energy you provide. As long as you are arguing, as long as you are trying to prove yourself right, you are volunteering to keep their system alive. The quiet guillotine works by making your presence energetically invisible. You do not declare war. You do not act bitter or hostile. You simply withdraw your energy. You become like mist, like a still lake without ripples, invisible to those who seek to provoke an emotional response from you. When they provoke you with false accusations or distorted narratives, instead of rushing to defend yourself as you once did, you apply the JADE rule. Do not justify. Do not argue. Do not defend. Do not explain. This approach is widely recommended by professionals and by those who have successfully exited manipulative relationships, because these reactions only prolong the cycle of conflict without producing real change. You look at them, you nod lightly, and you remain silent. That silence is the blade. It is sharper than any insult because it delivers a single unmistakable message. Your power over me has ended. You no longer have access to my pain. Picture this moment. You're standing in a room with someone who is yelling, manipulating, or playing the victim. In the past, you would have panicked. You would have taken the blame. You would have explained yourself into exhaustion. But now, with the integration of the golden shadow, the strength you once denied, you stand there as the observer. You see their anger. You understand their pain. But you no longer allow it to enter your body. You let their toxicity fall at their feet, never touching the fabric of your inner world. This is not cruelty. This is the highest form of respect. You respect them enough to let them take responsibility for their own emotions, and you respect yourself enough not to become a dumping ground for what they refuse to carry. When the quiet guillotine falls, the shift is immediate. The manipulator panics. They will try everything to pull you back in: flattery, gifts, threats, or smearing your name to others. This is the death convulsion of a parasitic relationship when its source of nourishment is cut off. But now you stand on different ground. You watch these attempts like a familiar play whose script you already know, and you smile, then walk away. The door closes behind you. There is no explosion, no chaos, only the deep exhale of a soul that has just been set free. And this is where the real magic begins. When the space around you has been cleared, when the energy drainers are gone, you are left with something vast, the space of freedom. Do not fear this space. It is not loneliness. It is the space that belongs to you. For so long, it was filled with the needs of others. For the first time, it is yours. From the ashes of exhaustion, a new self emerges. Carl Jung called this state wholeness, a psyche that has unified its rejected, fearful, and suppressed parts into a stable, coherent whole. But I want to give you a prouder name: the sovereign empath. The sovereign empath is no longer a victim of their own emotions. You're like a king or queen ruling your inner kingdom. The gates remain open, but they are guarded. Your heart is not hardened. You still feel, you still care, you still ache for the suffering of the world, but the difference is this: you choose who is allowed to enter. Your kindness is no longer something that leaks through cracks in your energy. It is a sacred gift given with intention. You pour the wine for those who are worthy, and you know when to turn the cup upside down in front of those who are greedy. You are no longer afraid of being called selfish, because you now understand that self-love is the foundation of loving others sustainably. The journey from being kind to the point of self-destruction to becoming a sovereign empath is one of the most heroic paths a human being can walk. It requires descending into the hell of your own wounds, facing the shadow you once rejected, and climbing back into the light with a heart that is whole and wiser. And if you have stayed until this moment, if you feel ready for that rebirth, then take these 3 small but powerful steps. First, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, not for numbers, but so you do not miss any chapter in this ongoing exploration of the human soul. Second, leave a comment, write your declaration, "I choose my peace," or share your story. This is a safe space where your voice is respected. And finally, share this video. Send it to a friend, a loved one, someone you know is an exhausted empath. Your single click may be the lifeline they have been searching for. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your courage to face yourself. And remember this: you do not need to burn yourself to keep the world warm. Your light shines brightest when you are fully, unapologetically yourself.